Good afternoon, students. I'm Dr. Nidhi Mishra, tutor in Department of Pathology. Today, your second practical is routine and special stain in histopathology and cytopathology, along with identification of cells. So, the learning objectives for this practical is by the end of this practical, you should be able to describe the routine stains that are used in cytopathology and histopathology. You should be able to enumerate the various special stains that are used in pathology, and you should be able to identify and describe various types of cells in histopathology. So why staining is necessary? The sections which are prepared, they are colorless. As I showed you in the previous lecture, the final sections which were there after taking it from the water bath, they were colorless. So different components cannot be appreciated or visualized. We cannot tell which is nucleus or which is cytoplasm or which are inclusions. So with colorless it will become very difficult. So make it easy, we stain the slide. So by staining them with different color dyes having affinity for specific component of tissue makes identification and study of the morphology very easy. So that's why we do staining. Now what are the routinely used stain? For histopathology, routine stain is H&E. For cytology, H&E, PAP and MGG. Coming to hematoxylin and eosin, also called as H&E stain in short form. So it's most common and universally accepted stain for histopathology. In this, you can tell there are two stains. One is hematoxylin, one is eosin. So hematoxylin will stain the cell nuclei blue or black with good intranuclear details, while the eosin, it will stain the cell cytoplasm and connective tissue in varying shades from pink, orange to red. So as you can see in this photo, this is actually a picture of renal tissue which I have taken from Harsh Mohan. You can see all these pink thing, all these pink areas, that are your cytoplasm which is stained with eosin, and these blue dots, these all blue dots everywhere, they are the nucleus of the tubules. Then here you have nucleus of the capillaries, and here you have nucleus of inflammatory cells, which in this case will be a lymphocyte. So this way you can differentiate easily between the components of the cell. Again a picture that was a diagrammatic picture. This is a microscopic picture. You can see these blue elongated cells which are almost spindle in shape. So these are your nucleus, and the background whatever is he seeing is pink is because of eosin, and this blue nucleus is mainly because of hematoxylin. In cytology, again you can see these blue is your nucleus, and somewhat very indistinct pinkish area is your cytoplasm, which is stained by eosin. So nucleus is stained by hematoxylin and cytoplasm is stained by eosin. Now hematoxylin, it is extracted from the logwood of tree Hematoxylin campacinium, while eosin Y is used as eosin. Now what are the methods of staining? We can do the staining by manual method, and we have automated stainers also, in which again there is a program set. You just have to fill all these contain with the respective reagents. You have to set the timer and they will do the staining procedure by themselves. So this is an automatic stainer. You can see these are the containers. These are the plastic containers which are filled with solution. This is your hematoxin solution over here. This is an alcohol, and this you can see there is a rack in which some slides will be kept. So slides will be again, like it will have a lever action. Slide will come up and then it will go into the next container, then it will go to a next container for a certain period of time, which will be fixed in the machine, and then you will get the final result. Next is MGG stain or May-Grunwald-Giemsa stain. It is widely used stain in the cytology smear, and you have to air dry the smear to use this stain. It should not be fixed in alcohol, it should be air dried. Interpretation, you will see the nucleus blue and you will see the cytoplasm pink. Giemsa stain can be used for detection of H. pylori and LD bodies. So you can see this picture. This is actually a Giemsa stain in which in which the nucleus is bluish black color, and you have the cytoplasm or the background cytoplasmic debris which is pink in color. Then we have pap stain, which is mainly used for cytological smear, most commonly for pap smear, and even for the other type of fluids we can use pap stain. So constituent may it has a nucleus stain, that is again hematoxylin only. So hematoxylin will stain the nucleus. Then we have orange G stain which will stain the keratin, and we have eosin Y which will stain the superficial epithelial squamous cell cytoplasm. So you can see in this picture, these big cells, they are having a bluish color cytoplasm, and they have a very small dark point like nucleus. So this staining is mainly because of hematoxylin, and this pinkish you are seeing one pink over here, one pink over here, this pink is because of eosinophil. This is a high microscopic finding in which again you can see this bluish color area is mainly because of hematoxylin. Here in the lower area you have this pinkish color or orangish color, mainly because of orangey and eosinophil. Coming to special stains. So why special stains are required? First, to demonstrate specific structures like reticulin fibers, elastic fibers, basement membrane, lipid, glycogen, fat, etc. Then to demonstrate various pigments like melanin, iron, etc. To demonstrate specific product deposition like amyloid, and to demonstrate organisms like fungi and bacteria. So that's why we need special stains, because hematoxylin and eosin, that is H&E stain, won't give a proper description, or they won't be able to identify these structures very properly. So what are the special stains used? For amyloid we use toluidine blue and Congo red. You should be able to name few special stains during your exam. For example, amyloid you should know Congo red. For carbohydrates or mucin, you should know about the PAS, Alshin blue and musicamin. Connective tissue stain you should know about is Van Giesen, Mason's trichome and reticulin stain. But apart from that, you can tell PTH and Verhoef's also. For lipid, we have oiled O and Sudan black B. For pigments, iron will be stained by Pearl's Prussian blue, melanin will be stained by Mason Fontana. Calcium, you should know, stained by von Cosa stain. Organisms that you should know is for fungus we use PAS and GMS. For bacteria, Gram stain will be done, that will be taught to in microbiology also. Again for TB, Zn stain is done, which is again they will taught you in microbiology also. For leprosy we have Fight Wade stain. For bacteria, as I told you, you can use Giemsa stain in case of H. pylori. And for DNA we had Fulgen reaction. So you should know few names. So if you are telling what is the stain for amyloid, you should be able to tell it's Congo red. What is the stain for carbohydrates or mucin, you should be able to tell PAS. At least you should be able to tell PAS. Connective tissue, you should be able to mention at least Van Giesen, Mason trichome or reticulin stain. So first we'll see about the PAS. PAS stand for periodic acid Schiff. P is periodic, A is acid, S is Schiff stain. Here we use two type of reagent. One is periodic acid, another one is Schiff reagent. It will give the nucleus blue color because the final counter stain here is hematoxylin. And glycogen, mucin and fungi will be stained purple, red to magenta. So when you see this picture, this magenta color areas, these magenta color areas are nothing but the goblet cells of appendix, which contains mucin, and it is stained magenta color by the PAS stain. Now what are the uses of PAS stain? For demonstration of fungi in glomus tumor, in RCC, for diagnosis of glycogen storage disorder, poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma and signet ring cell carcinoma. So this is a fungi, this is an actinomycotic colony, which you can see magenta color in a background of these are all inflammatory cells. Again, this is a photo of fungi. These are all mucor colonies. These are all fungi which are stained magenta color by pastain. So pastain, you should know, they will stain the mucin, they will stain the fungi, and they will stain the glycogen. Next is reticulin stain. So what is reticulin? Reticulin are connective tissue fibers which are usually not visible on H&E, and it has to be impregnated with silver to be seen. So when we use the reticulin stain, it will stain the reticulin fibers black to brown color. Main use are for diagnosis of liver cirrhosis and for differential diagnosis of sarcoma and carcinoma. So this is a normal liver, and this blackish color areas what you are seeing, whatever these blackish lines are there, that is your reticulin stain. So normally the liver is 2 cell thick, 2 cell plate thick. So these will be 2 cell, means in between these two black lines 2 hepatocytes will be there. So that is a normal. What happens is cirrhosis is, you can see these are, what happens in cirrhosis is, you can see these nodules. Your stain is not like this parallel like it was in the previous slide. You have nodules which are of various size, and you have these blackish color fibers surrounding them. These are all blackish fibers surrounding them. So this is nothing but reticulin fibers which is stained with reticulin stain. So this black all are reticulin fibers. So this is the case of liver cirrhosis. Next we have Van Giesen stain, so mainly used for demonstrating elastic fibers which are present throughout the body like skin, lung, vein and arteries. So when you use Van Giesen stain, it will stain the elastic fibers dark black, collagen bright red and smooth muscle yellow. So this is an example of Van Giesen stain, where you can see this is an artery, and this blackish area is your elastic stain. Again, this is another picture. You are seeing these are all RBCs, and this is your internal elastic lamina which is stained black with Van Giesen stain. Uses, as I told you, it is mainly to identify the elastic fibers, to differentiate muscle from collagen, and to see any damage or irregularities in internal or external elastic lamina of arteries. So if any dissection of aorta is there, if any coarctation of aorta, in that time this will be useful stain. Next we'll come to Mason's trichrome. So Mason's trichrome used for demonstration of muscle, collagen fibers, fibrin, erythrocytes, and mainly to differentiate between collagen and muscle fibers. So what you will do is see is muscle will be red in color, as you can see in this picture. These are all skeletal muscle fibers which are red in color, and you will have collagen which will be either blue or green in color. Now why it is called trichrome is because you will see 3 colors. So one you are seeing is muscle which is red in color, collagen will be blue and green, and your nucleus will be black in color because of hematoxylin. So uses mainly to demonstrate muscle, collagen and erythrocyte, to differentiate smooth muscles and collagen. And liver cirrhosis, again in early stage of cirrhosis, first of all collagen fibers come, followed by your reticulin fibers. So collagen fibers again will be stained blue in color, and in renal biopsy they delineate the basement membrane. So again this is a picture of liver cirrhosis. As I told you, in the early stage of liver cirrhosis you will see only these collagen fibers. These are all blue color stain. These empty spaces actually are nothing but fat vacuoles or microvesicular steatosis of liver, which you will read in detail later on. So these blue color areas is all Mason's trichrome which is staining the collagen. Coming to AFB stain or Zeal-Neelzel stain, which is used for demonstrating acid-fast bacteria belonging to genus Mycobacteria. So it is mainly used for tuberculosis. Modified ZN stain can be used for Mycobacterium leprae as well as atypical Mycobacterium HIV patients. So in this photograph you can see these are all inflammatory cells which are present. These are all inflammatory cells which are present in the background, could be histiocytes or lymphocytes. And these pink rods which you are seeing, these all pink rods, they are Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This will be taught to you in detail in sputum sample in microbiology. This is a tissue section. This case of leprae, Mycobacterium leprae, in which you can see this is a histiocyte. These are all histiocytes which are completely filled with these rod like pinkish color bacilli, that is your lepra bacilli. Then congoroid, as I told you, congoroid is mainly done for amyloid. So amyloid will look pinkish to reddish acellular homogeneous material. So this is these areas are amyloid, and when you see it under polarized microscope, you will get apple green birefringes. That will be taken to in detail during the classes of amyloidosis. But please remember, congoroid stain is used for amyloidosis. It will give a pinkish red color in the staining, and when you use a polarized microscope, you will see apple green birefringes. Now we will start with cell identification. This was all about routine and special staining in H&E, in histopathology and cytopathology. So before going into identification of cell, we'll give a brief points about microscope. So microscope, as you all know, is the most common instrument used in pathology department. So you have an ocular or eyepiece through which you will see. The power of ocular lens is 10x. Then you have diopter adjustment depending upon the distance between the two pupils. Then you have a nose piece. These nose piece has 4 objective lens. The first one or the smallest one is a scanner, which is 4x. Then you have a low power, which is 10x. Then you have a high power, which is 40x, and you have an oil immersion, which is 100x. This is your stage in which you will keep the slide. You will fix the slide with the help of the stage clip. Then you have a diaphragm over here, and you have a illuminator. Then you have 2 type of adjustment. One, the bigger circle or the bigger circle is your coarse adjustment, and the smaller one is your fine adjustment. So these are the parts of the microscope. Now coming to cell identification. So the histological diagnosis of a lesion ultimately depends upon the recognition of a cellular change. Aim is to become familiar with the appearance of cells in stained H&E sections. So whenever you are seeing any section, you try to identify the cell by noting the size of the cell, shape of the cell, how is the cytoplasm, so appearance of the cytoplasm, appearance of the nucleus, and appearance of the nucleoli. We'll start with the lymphocytes. So lymphocytes, you must have seen in your physiology classes in your peripheral smear. They are of around 10 to 15 microns in size if it's a large lymphocyte. If it's a small lymphocyte, it is around 8 to 11 microns in size. It has a very small scanty peripheral small rim of cytoplasm and a round nucleus which will almost completely fill the cell. So this is a picture in which you can see this is how lymphocyte will look in peripheral smear. But in histopathology, when you see, these are how lymphocytes will look. There will be like small round cells with a basophilic or bluish color nucleus and very minimal amount of cytoplasm. So this is all your population of lymphocytes. Then we have polymorphs or neutrophils, which have a size of 10 to 14 microns, round in shape, and as you all know, nucleus is lobulated with 2 to 5 nuclei and granular cytoplasm. So again you have a peripheral smear picture in which you can see this is a neutrophil having 3 lobes which are connected by 2 streaks. When you go for a histopathology, again you will be able to make out these cells which are having bi to trilobe nucleus and granular cytoplasm. You can see most commonly these things in granulation tissue or any acute inflammatory condition. Coming to next is plasma cells. So plasma cells are slightly larger than lymphocytes. They are oval in shape. The important point is nucleus, which is eccentrically placed, round oval with perinuclear halo, and the chromatin is arranged in a cartwheel like pattern. Cytoplasm will be abundant, pink to blue. So this is actually a peripheral smear, actually a bone marrow smear, in which you can see these are all plasma cells. These bluish color with eccentrically placed nucleus, these are all plasma cells. Even you have a trinucleate plasma cell over here. So these are all plasma cells. You can see some amount of perinuclear half also over here. Now when you see the histo slides, when you see the H&E stain slides, you can see as I marked over here, these again you can see it's having a peripherally closed nucleus, and you can see the cartwheel appearance very nicely over here. So this is plasma cell. This is how plasma cell will look in your histopath section. So plasma cell most commonly we see in conditions like you can see in syphilis, lymphoplasmatic lymphoma. You can see, and we have eosinophils, which resembles polymorph. Nucleus will be bilobed. Cytoplasm will have large pink to orange granules. So as you can compare this figure from that of a neutrophil, this is a peripheral smear picture in which you can see this orangish granules. Similarly, in histopath sections, you can see these are quite orangish as compared to neutrophils, which were pinkish in color. So this is eosinophil. You can see in any allergic conditions or any causes of eosinophilia in the tissue, like you can see in Hodgkin's lymphoma, you can see energy, you can see in fungal or infection, you can see in hypereosinophilic syndromes. So you will have tissue eosinophilia in that case. Next we have histiocytes or macrophages. So histiocytes, as you all know, they are member of reticuloendothelial system, and they are present in all organs. They vary in size, but mostly 2 to 4 times the size of polymorphs. Their shape could be variable with irregular margin. Nucleus usually oval or kidney shape. Cytoplasm, usually have abundant cytoplasm, which will be pale pink and may show phagocytosed material like fat, vacuoles, granules, or ingested materials. So you can see in this picture, actually this is a picture in which you can see this is these are all lymphocytes which are present. You can see only small blue round cells, and these cells, these small cells, these are all macrophages. Again, here is a biopsy from the lung, in which there is a mixed population of folded and elongated histiocytes with inconspicuous nucleoli. So this is your large cell, this is a histiocyte. All these are your histiocyte. Your cell border is not very much prominent. You have a large nucleus which is eccentrically placed and almost kidney shaped, and they have a open chromatin with inconspicuous nucleoli. Again, this is a book picture which I have taken. It's a case of Hodgkin's lymphoma, where you can see these large cells, these cells, along with, you can see here, these are all eosinophils. Again, these are macrophages. Then next is fibroblast. So fibroblast, they are mesenchymal origin cells which forms the collagen fibers. They are elongated and spindle cells. Now what are the cells which are spindle? So one is fibroblast, one is your smooth muscle, then you have myofibroblast. So you should know certain features about each. So fibroblast, spindle shape, but the nucleus will be elongated with tapering end, and the nucleoli will be pink stained. So when you see this picture, you can see these are fibroblasts, and their nuclei is tapered like this. So these are your fibroblasts. Eosinophilic cytoplasm stained with eosin. Hematoxylin will stain the nucleus blue color, and these are spindle cells with tapering end. Then we have endothelial cells. Again, these are somewhat spindle in shape. Endothelial cells line the blood vessels and lymphatic channels. Cells are flattened and they have flattened nuclei. So these will be your endothelial cells. Next things are epithelioid cells. So epithelioid cells are nothing but modified macrophages. They have a sole or slipper shaped nuclei with abundant granular pale eosinophilic cytoplasm. Now when you have a collection of epithelioid cell, it is called as granuloma, which is most characteristic for tuberculosis. So this is actually a cytology picture. This is a cytology picture in which you can see this classic slipper shape. It's like a sole of your foot. So this is your epithelioid cell, this is your epithelioid cell, this is your epithelioid cells, which are nothing but your modified macrophages and seen in case of tuberculosis. You cannot make out the cytoplasm very nicely, but these are the nucleus which are slipper shaped and they are called as epithelioid cells. In histopath slide, that was a cytology slide. This is a histopath slide where you can see these cells which are slipper in shape, and these are macrophages. This is your giant cell, Langhans giant cell. These are all your macrophages. So these are all your epithelioid cells. Coming to next, that is your smooth muscle cells. So again they are elongated spindle cells. Here the nucleus will be cigar shaped. In fibroblast our nucleus was pointed. Here our nucleus will be like this. So it will have a rounded or blunt end. So again this is a picture in which you can see the cells, they are having blunt end. The nucleus is having a blunt end. So this is your smooth muscle. This is a blunt end. So these are your smooth muscles. Next is adipocytes or fat cells. So they are nothing but cells containing fat. So as I told you, fat will be lost during the tissue processing. So it will be seen as an empty space with a flattened nucleus. So this is a slide of fatty tissue. You can see this is your fat, this is your fat cell, this is one of your fat cells. These are all fat cells and will have a very small tiny nucleus. So this is how fat cells or adipocytes will look in histopath. Next we have RBC. So RBC, as you all know, found in the lumen usually of the blood vessels. On the left side you have this picture of peripheral smear. You can see the RBC. In histopath slide, the RBC will be seen usually within the blood vessels is red color. Then you have what is called as giant cells. So giant cells are nothing but very large cells with multiple nuclei. So the size and shape are extremely variable with irregular margins. Cytoplasm will be plentiful. Usually it will be pink and it can show phagocytosed material. Nuclei will be multiple and it will be varying in number. Now giant cell can be because of physiological reasons or it could be because of pathological reasons. So what are the physiological giant cells? Syncytial, trophoblast and placental villi, they are giant cells. Then osteoclast in bone and megakaryocytes in bone marrow. So we'll see what are osteoclast. Osteoclast are large cells around 40 microns in diameter. It will have 15 to 20 oval shaped nuclei. The cytoplasm will have a foamy appearance, and that foamy appearance is mainly because of high concentration of vesicles and vacuoles. These osteoclasts are normally found along the endosteal surface of cortical bone. So this is how a giant cell will look. Osteoclastic giant cell will look. This is a one cell in which you can see this is very irregular margin, irregular cytoplasmic margin, and you have so many nuclei within one cell itself. So this is your giant cell or osteoclastic giant cell. Next we have megakaryocyte. Megakaryocyte is present in the bone marrow. It leads to production of platelets. Megakaryocytes are 10 to 15 times larger than a typical RBC, so the average size will be around 50 to 100 microns. The nucleus of the megakaryocyte becomes very large and lobulated. It contains 4 to 16 nuclear lobes, and the cytoplasm is light blue with red purple granules. So this is actually a bone marrow biopsy slide in which you can see this large cell, these large cells, all these large cells, they are nothing but megakaryocytes. Then we have pathological giant cells. Now pathological giant cells could be because of inflammation or infection, or they could be related to tumors. So first giant cell is foreign body type of giant cell. This, as the name itself suggests, mainly occurs because of any foreign body infection. So this is your giant cell. Here you can see some organism is there within the histiocytes. So mainly, since organisms are again foreign body, it is not has to be something solid. Even organisms are considered to be foreign body. So any giant cell which is produced because of that is called as foreign body giant cells. Then we have Langerhans type of giant cells. Langerhans type of giant cell has very characteristic. The nucleus will be arranged in a horseshoe pattern. Horseshoes are like this. So if the nucleus are arranged in a horseshoe pattern, it is called as Langerhans type of giant cell, and it is characteristic for tuberculosis. Then we have Ashkoff's giant cell, which is mainly seen in rheumatic fever. These are the Ashkoff's giant cells. So when you take a myocardial biopsy, you can see this is a lymphocyte. This small is a lymphocyte. You can just compare the size of the nucleus. This is almost 4 to 5 times the size of the lymphocyte. It's having 3 nucleoli. So these are Ashkoff giant cells seen in rheumatic heart disease. Then we have Teuton giant cells. Teuton giant cells are nothing. This is a large cell. This one is the whole cell, and the nucleus is arranged in a wreath-like pattern. What is wreath? When anyone dies, you just give a round shaped bouquet to those. Means you give that round shape bouquet to that round shaped bouquet to the coffin. That is called as wreath. So this is this is your cell. This whole is your cell. This is your wreath like arrangement of the nucleus, and around the nucleus you can see this foamy cytoplasm, this foamy vacuolated cytoplasm. So that is characteristic Teuton giant cell, which is mainly seen in xanthomas. Then we have Reed-Sternberg cells. Reed-Sternberg cell is mainly associated with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So in Hodgkin's lymphoma, you will see these large cells. So this is a large cell which is binucleated. It is having 2 nuclei, and this large nucleoli or macronucleoli. This is characteristic for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then we have a tumor giant cells. Can be seen in any high grade tumor. This are the tumor giant cells. We can see a very large bizarre cells with multiple nuclei or multi-lobated nuclei. It's characteristic for giant cells. So this is all about the giant cells, and this is all about the cell identification. Thank you.